What's realistic now that we've seen this team about 100 and some odd games?
Playoffs are the barometer for this team. This team is set up for the playoffs. They're a veteran team. So if they don't make it, nobody's going to be happy about that. Nobody's going to be saying, wow, well, they're going to be disappointed if they don't make the playoffs.
Dave, good morning. What's up, man?
I do. It's a good little tradition to get up early on British Open Day and watch some golf at 6 a.m. I enjoyed that.
The Giants right now, the season ended, they're a half game out of the third wild card spot. So they are right there. Obviously demoralizing to lose to the Dodgers. You wanted to make some ground within the division. Not totally ruling that out yet, but I think obviously it would be disappointing at this point if you do not at least get a wild card spot. So that being said, what's the biggest need for this team right now as we are 2 weeks away officially from the trade deadline? Got a couple weeks to show Buster Posey. Obviously, he knows what this team is at this point, but offense, right? You're probably not getting what you wanted from Devers early on here. He's dealing with some injuries. Adames is getting hot as of late. Chapman, been streaky. But the biggest need for this team right now, Dave, is what if you're going to shore it up prior to the deadline?
Well, they need to score more runs, but I don't think the trade deadline is the avenue where that's going to happen. I think they mostly have their offense set, mostly. You probably need, now maybe Gerard Encarnacion can be this, maybe Matos can be this. The problem with Matos is he's just miscast as a bench platoon player, and he hasn't learned how to do that role successfully. But Mike Yastrzemski is a lot of great things for this team. He has really struggled against left-handed pitching. And so part of the Giants have to be better against left-handed pitching. Part of the way to do that is, hey, Casey Schmidt's in there every day, and Matt Chapman's healthy again, and Adames is more like his old self. But part of that is to find somebody to help Yastrzemski out. And, they had Slater for all those years, and he was the perfect complement. They need somebody. Maybe it could be Encarnacion, maybe it could be Matos, but they got to get – to me, that's an easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but that doesn't have to be a superstar player. That doesn't have to be a big-name player. You can find somebody who can play a corner outfield position and take some at-bats against a lefty. That, to me, is one sort of easy one, low-hanging fruit that can make this team better in specific matchups. And I think the other thing that they are looking to address and will look to address is an extra starting pitcher. I think, there's enough concern about the young guys, and Root's been excellent. Birdsong's been mostly excellent, but struggled lately. But it's not just the performance, it's also the workload buildup and whether there's going to be a fatigue wall. And when you have to make the decision here in 2 weeks, you don't have the luxury of, say, waiting until, let's see in September if those guys run out of gas. You don't have that luxury. So I think somebody to help take some of the burden away. I think they believe Verlander can still really help this team, and I do too. But maybe a little insurance against Verlander getting hurt again or not ticking up the performance. Again, I don't think that you have Webb, you have Ray, you have some high-end starting pitching, 2 all-stars of your 5, but somebody to take a little bit of that workload away, I think, would be important. They dealt Hicks, they dealt Harrison. Carson Wisenhunt has not pitched as well lately. I still think he's somebody we're going to see this year, but maybe there's a little less confidence that right now he's ready to come into a pennant race and perform. That tells me they probably need somebody who can pitch some starters innings for them.
How do they navigate the rest of the year with the Devers injury and just his physical situation currently and get the best out of him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question, and I don't know. I think he wants to play. Devers has always been like that. It's one of the reasons why the Giants like him is he's got a reputation of, among all the players in MLB, there aren't many who have more of a reputation for just wanting to be out there than Devers does. He played a full year with a really bad elbow and just played and said, I'm getting paid. I'm going to be in there. And so I think that's an admirable quality. He has not been his normal self here in these last few weeks. So we'll see. I think this weekend is big. Just let's see how it looks. Did a few days off help? If he really continues to struggle and he can't run, I guess at some point you consider shutting him down for a while. But I think that seems less likely to me. I think it's just manage it and see if a little extra rest can help, and otherwise he's just going to try to grit it out.
When you watch a guy every day, you notice some of the things that they do really well that aren't on like the scouting report or anything like that. And then some of the other, maybe the flaws. What are some things that you've noticed from Raffy Devers watching him closely for 3-4 weeks here?
Well, I do think, it's taking him, because his Fenway swing, he's got so much power to the left side, and we saw that early. And I do think there has been a tendency, I think we saw it maybe from Adames a little bit early in his Giants career. You come to this ballpark, and there is a tendency to try to change your approach and change the way you do things for the ballpark. And I don't think that, ultimately maybe you do that a little bit, but I think that's hard to do in the moment. And so I think one thing about Devers is we haven't yet really seen that left center field power that we're going to see at some point. So I think that's one thing that's been missing. Teams do like to attack him up. So he's definitely a guy who, there is a game plan against, it seems to me. Fastballs up seems to be right now the way most teams are trying to go after him. He's always been a good breaking ball hitter. I think he's a really smart baseball player. I think you see that all the time. We're not seeing that at all on the bases because he just can't move right now. But he is a very high IQ baseball player. Then I would add the other thing just off the field is this is a guy who we heard all this stuff about coming over and his dispute with the Red Sox and what was going on and all that. This is a guy who really fit in well and is enjoying being with his teammates, seems to really like it here. Seems to be very comfortable here. I think long-term, that's a really good thing.
So before the year, I had a lot of questions on this team. Like, who is Willy Adames? You know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen with Matt Chapman? And does Robbie Ray have it for a full season? And what does this rotation look like? And we've got a lot of answers. You made a great trade in the first half to get Raffy Devers. We'll see how he performs moving forward. Camilo felt like he righted the ship. I know he's been up and down as of late, but boy, I didn't see that coming. You gotten a great year thus far from Logan and Robbie Ray, and look what you've done with Landon Roop. All in all, I feel like it's been a great year. And my expectations heading into the season was like, I want to make the playoffs. Now you got the Raffy Devers deal. Like, wow, we found our middle of the order guy. What should the expectations be for the second half and to make this a great year? Like, what's realistic now that we've seen this team about 100 and some odd games?
Well, it's definitely, playoffs are the barometer for this team. And if they don't make it, it's not been a successful year. That doesn't mean that they haven't done some good things like you've pointed out. But if they don't make the playoffs, this year will not have been a success in their minds. And I agree with them. And so I think that is the barometer now. And they've been super aggressive, which is fun. Like, how fun has it been this year to be a Giants fan and watch them go for it? Sign Adames, trade for Devers, be aggressive, be different than all these teams that are so scared to do anything. So many teams in baseball right now are so mistake averse that it's just tinkering, and that's all you get. And the Giants are going for it, and it's fun. That's the whole point of like running a team and being a fan is like, let's go for it. That part of it has already been a big success, but this team is set up for the playoffs. They're a veteran team. And so if they don't make it, that nobody's going to be happy about that. Nobody's going to be saying, wow, well, we made that trade. That was cool. They're going to be disappointed if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I will be too. To make the playoffs, you obviously need all these guys humming, right? They need a top-of-the-order guy so bad to just set the table. They need Jung Lee to be more consistent and Ramos to kind of get out of his little slump and Chapman and Adames to continue playing well and Raffy to wake up. I'm giving you the chance to say one guy has to stay hot for them to go into the playoffs. Who would that one guy be for you?
Well, Devers can take him. I mean, Devers can be that guy. If he is healthy and can get healthy, he can carry an offensive team. He can. But the problem is we just don't know whether he's going to be healthy. Of the guys who are, I think Jung Lee is the biggest wild card factor on this team. He's got the talent level. We've already seen it to be a really high-level player, and it hasn't been consistent enough, and it's grinded on him. And I think part of what's going on is he is so prideful. He is so team-oriented. Jung puts a lot of pressure on himself, a lot, to be perfect and to be the best version of himself. And it's hard. And he's going to have to, that's part of the learning process of playing at this level, is he's going to have to lighten up in that way a little bit. Like, you can be focused and intense and care so much, but there has to be a little outlet, at some point. It's hard to beat that hard on yourself. And just a little extra success, a few balls falling in, can help that happen. But I think we saw early in the year, the Giants offense was great. Jung-Hoo Lee was great. The Giants offense has struggled when he has struggled. And you're right about they don't have a classic leadoff hitter. They're right-handed heavy, although Devers has balanced that out somewhat. I think he's the guy who can carry this team to a higher level.